the entire city had to evacuate. The entire city. There are huge neighborhoods which will never ever grow back. There's no people aren't just going to come back to that. But 3 out of 4 of them still didn't prepare anything. That's the part that killed me. It's like, look, you literally had to run out of the city, drive as fast as you can. The city was, you wouldn't do it. So I'm sorry, it just drives me insane. And I'll end this part with this. It's like, look, you get insurance. Here's the logic. You get insurance for just about everything you can think of. We've got home insurance, auto insurance, fire insurance, health insurance. And the insurance industry is massive, right? You pay a lot of money for that insurance, and yet you won't throw down a couple $100, get some water, batteries, food, just put it in the corner. You don't even have to look at it. So what if it makes you up, a little bit depressed when you're buying it from the store? You just put it in the corner. You don't even have to worry. But it's there, and it's there if you need it. That's all I'm saying. So that's my little rant. I'm sorry. I'm probably the wrong guy to talk to when it comes to any natural disasters. I've over-prepped for years. A meteor could strike half a mile from there, and I'd probably make it. Anyway, that might be overstating things. Anyway, what do you want to move on to next?
Aloha. I had to make this quick video in response to a video that I just watched. Shout out to Cool Cat for uploading this video, and shout out to Dan Pratt for sending me over to this video. It's basically a video of Mark Sargent responding to the Hurricane Harvey people who've gone through it and are going through it. I just had to use that as a sort of another platform to share with people and jump off the last video of the separation that is between humanity and people's perceived reality. When you believe in a system that has zero humanity, you're watching a movie. This is a game for people. This is a Hollywood movie production, flat earth included. There is no flat earth movement. There's only you and a bunch of other people who are either critically thinking or not. There's you. What brings you together with somebody else is your ability to go the distance. And that distance, based upon your previous location, your current location, and where it is you're going, is actually a movement. If you put all the eggs in the basket of an idea bringing together a movement, then you're already shorting yourself, because your movement is based upon one linear idea. There is no flat earth movement. If there is a flat earth movement, what are your goals? What is your destination? Where do you really plan on going with this information? That's pretty much the premise of all of the videos that I've put together. And when you listen to these so-called mainstream flat earth channels, these channels who are talking to HBO and CNN and doing these interviews with radio shows, where do you think they are going with this information? What do you think they are doing with this information? Do you think it's for the benefit of humanity? Or do you think it's some other news program, some other storyline like TYT and Alex Jones that's going to be sold to the masses? Flat Earth is just another catchphrase for a lot of people. There's no going into the human story. There's no going into how flat earth, how heliocentrism and the powers built on top of that foundation came to be. There's no understanding, or overstanding of that story, because once you go into questioning that reality, you start stepping into the human story. And a lot of these people have not done the work. Proof of that is a lack of compassion or understanding in that video you just listened to. There's zero concern here. This is some kind of, there is no flat earth movement. This is some kind of thing. It's a hobby for people. Just like mentioning your perspective on Hurricane Harvey from the angle of, well, why didn't you just move? What the That is a definite proof of how separated from reality these people are. They cannot at all relate to you. I don't give a shit how many interviews they've done with you. I don't care how many times they've said, you know, we need to come together and humanity this and humanity that. They will always be who they are. You cannot run from that. You cannot escape how you were raised until you actually process that information through the eyes of many different perspectives with a healing intent. These individuals haven't gone. That's just a very general definition of the inner path, a very basic. It's not even a definition. It's just an idea to reference the inner work that needs to be done. That is a reflection of the outer work for the collective. Nothing will change until people change. So if you have your so-called leaders out there, they don't think they need to change. They are confidently ignorant, arrogantly ignorant in their reality. They think that flat earth is going to change the world. They think that the actual people who were hit by this storm, they were at fault because they just didn't, have insurance or move in time. And these are the individuals, that's the mindset that is trying to protect Western civilization. That's just one example. Other individuals are doing the same thing, focusing on Alex Jones and TYT and Bernie Sanders. That is protecting the system. It's no different than protecting NASA. Western civilization, the peak of Western civilization is NASA, is SpaceX, is the very nature of them creating your universe for you. They created your universe. They created your Western nation. And they're creating the mindset, the very nature of your existence through public education, the university system, down to the food you eat and the water you drink, both that are poisoned. If you do not understand that this entire system is NASA, this entire system is the heliocentric model, including all of the mainstream religions. This is all one storyline. They are not separate. There's 0 degrees of separation between the intention of heliocentrism, politics, so-called conspiracy theorists who are actually controlled opposition, the mainstream media, the university system, technology moving towards transhumanism, Western society as a whole, racism, white supremacy, 0 degrees of separation between these human deceptions. There is no separation. If you are selling that program as we only need to fix the carburetor of this hoopty ass vehicle we call Western civilization, only the carburetor's gone bad. That's the fuel. That's what we get, that pumps the fuel. Those are the bankers and the money. You focusing on the carburetor, you already done. You driving around a hoopty ass human experience. Oh, we only need to fix the body. It just needs body work done. There's a few dents here and there. We need to fix the transmission. We don't live on a globe. We need to fix the motor. That's it. Stop driving around a hoopty ass human experience. They sold you a lemon on the blood and the bones of the indigenous people. If you are not telling this story, if this is not, and not to say that people making videos have to tell this story. I'm sharing this information because I know people feel something in their heart when they hear what I say from my perspective. That's not to have an expectation on another individual to make videos like this or come from this perspective. I know people have their own style. What I'm saying is, and what I'm hoping is that people feel this information in their heart and are working on a way to come from that perspective, that deeper human perspective that are the nuts and bolts of something like the heliocentric deception and all of the so-called truth or information that's out there. When you call yourself a truther and you got truther videos and truther information, why the hell do you have to call yourself a truther? Maybe because it was a bunch of lying ass people out there in power that generated an entire version of reality that has nothing to do with any kind of truth, with any kind of balance with nature, and have been lying to the masses for centuries. You have to call yourself a truther because the mainstream reality is based upon deception. The so-called powers that be have been lying to you. You don't think they will plant certain people with certain shallow ass perspectives in something like a flat earth movement to make it stagnant, to make people fight other people who are sharing information that goes into the human story? I've said this in previous videos. A lot of the reasons why I take a lot of flack, people call me divisive on my channel, is because they have it in their heads, based upon other people on YouTube, other bigger channels on YouTube. They have it in their head. This is what a flat earth video looks like. This is what a flat earth video sounds like. These are the topics that you talk about. And if you say anything else other than that, you are divisive. You are wrong. When you have bigger channels out there that not only put out that vibe, but they back it up by not expanding the storyline, not acknowledging that this information is a part of the so-called flat earth story. Mark Sargent is the main asshole out there doing that. He's not telling, and that video that you watched in the beginning of this video, that's a perfect example of why he will not talk about anything else other than this generic ass flat earth clues bullshit. Is because if you start listening to where he's actually coming from the human perspective, you will either see him for what he might actually be, or he will expose his own ignorance by opening up his mouth. He can say he's been practicing this flat earth spiel for the last 2+ years, however long, possibly even longer if he's actually a controlled opposition. He's been practicing that flat earth spiel. He got it down. He's got it down packed. And by him out there, Patricia out there, Jaren, Goldbuster, all these other people out there that say, you know what? This is what flat earth sounds like. In fact, anybody else saying anything else is just, they're just wrong. Something's wrong with them. The viewership of those channels will look at my channel and other channels who talk about information in and around flat earth like this, and they will say, oh, well, that guy's bad. Something's wrong with him. That's not what flat earth is about. Flat earth is about unity, friendship, love, mixers, bowling, hanging out, camaraderie, meeting up, having a few beers. Aren't we really enjoying ourselves? Look at us flat earthers. Get the fuck out of here. Keep following these assholes in this imaginary movement, and they'll lead your ass right off a cliff. A cliff of ignorance. A cliff of lack of understanding. This cliff is diving straight into a McDonald's flat earth. A Burger King change. A KFC castle. It will poison your ass. And in fact, it's poisoning you right now because it's prepping you. It's prepping you to accept that nonsense perspective and that nonsense version of change. Listening to that video before I started talking, what do you think? What kind of perspectives do you think are going to be shared in and around flat earth when people like Mark Sargent start talking to CNN and HBO? What kind of tone is going to be out there? He's going to drive this shit straight into the drive-through of the mainstream media, hand the keys over, and then that'll be it. That's why I'm saying there's so many other realities that set the foundation to the heliocentric deception that we need to be focusing on. And the human story is the main one. Like I said in all these other videos, it doesn't matter how many, you can have 1 billion flat earth channels, 1 billion flat earth people. It's not going to matter if they are still human slaves. That happy, sweet, caring sort of intellectual perspective of flat earth coming from the potatoes and the Mark Show. That's exactly where they want you to be. They want you to be dormant, complacent, dumbed down, ignorant to the entire slave system, and they want you to buy the lunchable story called Flat Earth. Flat Earth is gonna save the day as long as we stick together and get more people talking about this. It's gonna be wonderful. What is your end game? Mark, Patricia? This is why they can't answer those questions. Because that tone, that sentiment that you heard earlier from Mark. That's why they can't. That's why he can't talk about actual topics outside of flat earth clues. You can't talk about the human story because he's so out of touch with it. And in fact, looks at the people like they are the ones responsible for this. I'd be willing to bet he has the same perspective of people living in the hood, living in the ghettos. Oh man, you just should have got out of that yourself. There's ways you can get out of living like that. That's how people think. An individual who says to people who were just hit by a natural disaster called a hurricane says that they have insurance and they should have just moved. Like people can just get up and move. That's the most out of touch ass person you will have ever heard. That's like some shit Melania Trump would say. This is how far from reality these individuals are, and they know it. That's why Mark won't say anything about anything other than the idea of flat earth. Because as soon as he opens up his mouth, he smells that stinking ass breath. That ignorant, stinking ass breath that is completely removed from the human experience. And the only thing that keeps him up there, the only thing that he has a hold on to, and other people up there like that, this is why they don't expand the storyline, is flat earth. And what I'm saying is pretty damn fucked up. Is that because they will not let go of that mentality. The people who are listening to them not only won't let go of that mentality as well, it keeps them stagnant, but they also look down upon other people who are talking about information that goes beyond just the science of flat earth, just the truther community information, just this, just that. So, oh, something's wrong with me. Man, get out of my face. You on the wrong channel. You got the wrong one. Anyway, I just wanted to share that one clip so you can see that perspective and hear my perspective on it and expand the idea that there is no flat earth movement. There is no flat earth movement. There's only you and other people like you who are starting to think deeply, who are starting to critically think about their experience. Do not ball up something that takes forever. That's an entire lifetime. Don't take an entire lifetime of expansion and shrink it down to a catchphrase, to some flashy story. Do not shrink yourself down, and don't shrink the collective down, the collective expansion. Don't shrink it down to something like a flat earth or an Alex Jones or a TYT or a perspective of Mark Sargent or Eric DeBay or CNN, MSNBC. Don't fall for these traps. You have your own experience that if you fall into somebody else's version of your own work, you're going to miss out on your own life. And you're going to buy into whoever generated that illusion for you in the first place. It's the same thing. And that's just an example of what happens on the individual scale. What I'm saying is that with something like the flat earth, that's happening on the collective scale, or a so-called community, flat earth community scale. They're telling you how to think. At the same time they're telling you how to think, they're telling you how to not think. What to not think about. Don't talk about this. And they don't have to actually say, don't talk about this. They just have to consistently not talk about it. 2 years of not talking about the foundations of flat earth. 2 years of not talking about something says a lot. 2 years of not talking about something. 2 years of avoiding something. When people, especially when people are around your circle who do nothing but talk about this information, says a lot. You are saying a lot by saying nothing. And now, this video I shared at the beginning of this video is a proof of why individuals like that can't speak on these issues. It doesn't exist in their world. It might not only be that they just don't want to talk about it. They just can't see how that fits in this reality. They might literally think that it's not at all an issue. They might literally think, people like Mark might literally think that the foundations to NASA and heliocentrism don't matter. That's what I'm saying. That's when I heard that tone, when I heard that information come out of the mouth of Mark about hurt people of Hurricane Harvey. That's what I got out of it. I'm thinking to myself, man, these individuals are so far removed from the boots on the ground reality that they might, it's like somebody living on an island. And it's not too far fetched, because I know a lot of people who are who do live on an island. They just don't know. And from that not knowing, they don't care, because they don't know how to care. They were never taught. They were never raised how to care. They don't know what that is. It was never in their world. So now that they have a new world called the flat earth, anybody who is not a part of their new world and is still subjecting themselves to their fluffy, fairy dust filled old world, you're like 2 worlds removed from them. So you have fairy dust world and you have fairy dust flat world. 2 worlds completely removed from the destructive world that the majority of the people on the earth plane have and are still living in today. People in fairyland ain't gonna know what the hell that means. They're not gonna know. They're not gonna understand that needs to change. And if you come into something new like flat earth, they're gonna come at it from this very generic fairy dust perspective. Oh, well, people just need to get better. That's what needs to happen. We just need to sprinkle some fairy dust on those crackheads and sprinkle some fairy dust on all those, poor people who just don't know how to get rich. What's wrong with them? Bunch of dummies. Why don't you just get some insurance? Why don't you just get in your Benz? Get in your get in your Chevy Nova with 2 flats, because you take the bus to work every day now. Jump in the Nova and just drive away from the hurricane. Gone. So gone. Why? Because he was never there.